Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com and our weekly show. It's Democracy 2.0 with Wayne Bouchard. I love that name, Bouchard. Anyway, Wayne, welcome.
You know what the correct pronunciation of the name is?
Not really, but tell me.
Do you really want to know? It is. I think I may have even said this once before. It is Bouchard.
Oh, Bouchard. You don't pronounce the D?
Bouchard. No D. French never pronounce the D.
Unless it's a double ending, like E-T-T-E. Like Bouchard. I don't know. Bouchard. Okay. I know that I took French for 5 years in school. You see how much good it did me?
5 years. Well, I didn't have that many years.
Well,
and I still don't know it.
I'm still working on English. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Actually, sometime, who was it? I'm forgetting who the author was. I mean, I'm going back 30, 40 years. And he had a book out about English. And he would give examples of how people wrote, and he said they were wrong, and I couldn't understand why they were wrong. You know, whether the syntax was wrong, whether the punctuation was wrong, but it was so minute and so detailed.
This is English. English is one of the most difficult languages to learn.
Well, there's a very funny clip, and it's on YouTube, with Desi Arnaz in the I Love Lucy show, and he's trying to teach a little Ricky how to read. and Lucy is there, and he goes certain words that he mispronounces because it's not pronounced the way it's written, or there's certain letters put together, and I can't think of it now. But there's certain letters put together that in one word are pronounced something, and another word are pronounced something else.
My favorite Ricky Ricardo expression was when he would get in all kinds of trouble. He would say, "Lucy, Lucy, let me explain. Let me explain."
Well, we do that because my wife is, her native language is Spanish, so she does that. Let me explain.
Let me explain.
Lucy, I'm home. Anyway, it's funny. I was a kid when that show was on, and I was watching it, and it was good. And now it is so dumb.
Yeah. Did you watch that movie that was on Amazon?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was. I was not aware of how politically involved they both were.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that I knew that William Frawley was a drunkard. I knew that he used to booze it up, and because I'm forgetting the Fred McMurray show. Stanley Livingston, that was one of the kids on the show. One of his, I had him interviewed in one of my shows, one of my podcasts, and he used to say his job was to go with William Frawley to lunch to make sure he would come back for the shooting in the afternoon.
You know, I needed somebody like that early in my business career, but unfortunately, I didn't have one of those people. Yeah. So none of that, Malcolm, has anything to do with the top news and political events of October 5th, 2022.
It's 2022 already? I don't believe it. What happened
2022?
What happened to Y2K? Okay, let's get what did you want to talk about?
R2K. Well, we've got some trouble over in. I think it's kind of interesting that the 44 nations of Europe are meeting. They started their annual meeting today, and Putin wasn't invited. And Russia is part of Europe.
Is Russia part of Europe? Yeah,
Yes,
Eastern Europe.
that's why he's so upset about NATO.
Mhm.
So as we all know, he has proclaimed that those areas over in the Ukraine, those four different, I guess they're provinces,
Yep.
are now part of Russia as a result of that
Annexation.
the annexation and secret vote that they took.
Well, I don't think
So,
it was a secret vote. It was a public vote, except
well,
from what I heard, the citizens were escorted to the ballot boxes by the soldiers.
yeah, at gunpoint.
Yeah.
So today, one of the Russian military said that that they had to stop lying about the military situation in Ukraine, and the Ukrainians have taken back a significant amount of land from that area already, and of course, the Ukrainians as well as the U.S. and the European Union all claim that this whole annexation was illegal, and therefore nobody's going to adhere to it. And I guess probably the most chilling factor coming out of all of this is Putin's nuclear threat. And it becomes every day it becomes more and more of an issue and something talked about. These things that we never used to talk about now all of a sudden have weaved their way into our daily lives, and we're talking about them on a regular basis. I was reading, they have tactical nuclear weapons that are the size of artillery shells. They actually shoot out of an artillery type cannon off the back of a Jeep. I'm not sure what kind of tactical nuclear weapon that is, or how many. They're obviously radioactive, but still, it's a nuclear explosion, and it has significant repercussions.
Yeah. Well, one good wind or change of winds takes that whatever nuclear things they explode to all over. There's no controlling it.
Yeah, I heard one of our military guys, one of our ex-military guys that gets hired by one of the news outlets to become all of a sudden an expert. Well, and they are experts. I heard them talking about the fact that if Russia used a nuclear weapon, they would be so ostracized by the rest of the world, it would probably push China and India, totally away from supporting them, and it would put Putin in such a bad light in the world, on the world stage, that for that reason he may opt not to use that option.
Unless it's an emotional cause, because I think what Russia proved one thing, and the U.S. also, is that large countries, even the powerful countries like the U.S. or Russia, really cannot win a ground war with troops coming in, because people that live there have more at stake and will fight with their lives. Where soldiers that come in, whether they're American or Russian, I don't know if they're willing to give up their lives for their cause, because they're not that dedicated, and they could be dedicated in soldiers, but they're not that dedicated.
I don't think the Russian soldiers are as dedicated as the Ukrainians.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, and that's a significant factor.
And I think that was part of the things would stopped us in Afghanistan, because in order we couldn't win the people over. We won a portion of the people over, but in order for us to make that country, pro-Western, our soldiers had to stay there. They couldn't win the hearts and minds of the Afghanis. Same way the Russians can't win the hearts and minds of the Ukraine people. The only way to win that war would be, which he did, to threaten nuclear, but the nuclear would destroy everything.
Correct. So they're at kind of almost kind of a stalemate. But if you remember in the beginning of this whole conflict, the general consensus of opinion in the world was that the Russians would take Kiev in, the matter of maybe a week, in a matter of days. They would be able to surround the capital, and the country would fall. And how wrong was everybody, in that estimation? I mean, look at what those guys have done. It's just incredible.
Yeah, well, who would have guessed that the president, who was a former, reality show host, reminds you of somebody, but on TV had no experience.
He was a comedian.
He was a comedian.
Yeah.
Reminds me of someone else you knew, but that other guy screwed everything up. But how he became a strong leader, and people are respecting him worldwide.
Yeah, and also at the beginning of the conflict, the U.S. made arrangements to get him and his whole family out of the Ukraine.
And he didn't want to go.
Save them, and he said, "No, I won't go.
This is my country." But speaking about threat of nuclear action, what do you think the North Koreans are doing? And why are they tempting? Why are they playing with this the nuclear reactions and missiles?
Well, the way to solve that entire problem is to nominate Donald Trump as ambassador to North Korea and send him over and talk to his boyfriend.
Yeah,
Kim Jong-un.
Definitely.
And that would deter those guys. But who knows what they're up to?
Well, I expect any minute now that Donald Trump is going to send out a tweet saying, "This would have never happened on my watch." I mean,
of course.
We and him are like this. We were, we had a love affair.
We were buds, man. We were buds.
They had a love affair. It's a.
What a great segue into Trump's all kinds of legal issues.
Trump has legal issues.
Trump has legal issues. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that they went to the Supreme Court, to try to get some kind of resolution to favor themselves. I guess he felt like, the Supreme Court was, just because he nominated 3 of those justices,
that's his people,
that they would support him. And that whole tactic may backfire.
Hopefully.
But he always weasels out of everything.
Well, I mean, he says, no other president has been treated like me. And you know something? That's one of the things he's right. But no other president has been as dishonest in so many things as he has.
None of them have ever done anything. The 11th Circuit Court, Court of Appeals, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, they may rule against him also when the whole court rules on this issue of the Florida judge. What she said about appointing a special master and allowing him to go over all the classified documents. So, he could lose on 2 fronts. So,
well, there's no classified documents. He declassified everything. Don't you know?
Well, it's interesting because he said that he has the power as president of the United States. He had the power to declassify anything by just saying it was declassified.
They didn't even have to say it. He could think
even thinking about it. However, he declassified all those documents, but when Biden took office, he reclassified them. So he thought about, well, Trump can't declassify those documents. I'm going to reclassify them.
I don't know if that's you could do that. Well, he could have thought he could do the case. He thought it.
Nobody could have written a comedy like this.
I could see this. I don't know who would do it. Like the Marx Brothers.
Maybe.
No, better yet, Monty Python. They were more political.
Yes.
They would have made a great movie out of it. I don't know who could do it now in today's age. I'm not that familiar with the new comedians and the new directors.
No, neither am I, and I'm not. I don't keep up on that.
But that could be a good thing. As I think I mentioned the other week, I could see a great Saturday Night Live skit with
God,
Trump coming out with his wizard suit and his wizard hat, like Mickey Mouse did on what's the movie, 1939 movie? The one that was all animated. Anyway, and saying and going and with the wizard and going the wizard and declassifying everything, making everything good again.
I don't remember that. I don't remember the name of that movie.
Oh,
next Thursday we'll have all kinds of things to talk about because the January 6th committee is going to meet again next Thursday.
Yeah, well, to me, I'm not worried about the January. I'm looking a little far in advance. The January 6th. I don't see, aside from some of the people that were prosecuted, and some of the ones that have to be prosecuted. I don't see where they're going to get Trump on this, and not enough to jail him.
Do you think that the Justice Department should indict Trump?
I don't know. I mean, literally, I don't know, because I don't know whether I want to see him in jail more, or I don't know what civil disobedience would happen if they did indict him. And then if they did indict him, I don't know whether they could convict him. Even though because again, it has to be 12 people who, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't know if you can get 12 people like that.
Well, since the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago and took out all those classified documents, the postings on Twitter have mentioned Civil War, though the number of postings have gone up 3,000% since Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Yeah, for the sake of settling this, I'm not sure whether I want to see him in jail. I mean, what I'd like to see is the other one, the civil suits, and bankrupt him. I mean, literally bankrupt him where he doesn't have any money. Taking away all his properties.
Yes.
That I wouldn't mind seeing. But put in jail, I don't know, because he would make himself a martyr.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
and it would probably cause, a significant amount of political violence.
Yeah. So I think that was the reason that Ford didn't, exonerated Nixon, gave him a pardon, because he was afraid of the civil unrest. Which at that time I didn't agree with him, but in retrospect, that might have been very smart.
Yeah, well, sometimes these politicians make decisions that are not very popular, but 25 years later, you begin to see the wisdom in why they did what they did.
And the problem is Gerald Ford was never considered a president of wisdom.
Yeah, have you ever watched that special on TV about first ladies?
No, I didn't see
it. Betty Ford was one of the first ladies that they covered. Betty Ford, Michelle Obama, and Eleanor Roosevelt. It was excellent.
The only thing that they have about Eleanor Roosevelt, I know, is that she was gay. I know whether she was gay. She had a woman lover. She had her longtime lover was a woman.
Right. And they did cover that, but it was interesting because Betty Ford was not in favor of that decision. She was furious with
Oh, was she? I didn't know that.
her husband. Yeah, it was very well done. The I thought the most interesting part of it that was that, oh, now I'm gonna forget the woman who played Michelle Obama.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Now,
And you can't remember her name either.
no. When
She
it
was the
comes to
one.
names, I remember certain facts. When it comes to names, forget about it. I am a product of my age. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact, I had a brain scan because I suffer from a little dizziness, and the doctor said, "Well, you're normal for a man your age." I said, "What?" Because there was something like 80 or 90% of my brain was there. I said, "Well, what happened to the other 10%?" He said, "No, that's age. That's where you have your memory." What the hell are you talking about? He said, "Well, that's because you can't remember names." Okay,
Really
yeah, but you can see
interesting.
it if you have put your brain under an X-ray and they'll tell you. But anyway, yeah. Well, speaking about Michelle Obama, I think she would be a great candidate for president for the.
Absolutely. But it doesn't look like she has any interest in it.
No.
None whatsoever.
What's endearing about both of them? I've never seen a couple so much in sync with each other and enjoying
Yes.
themselves.
Yep.
Whenever they're at a social event, they're totally in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's dancing, whether it's laughing, it's sort of, you look at that and then they're endearing. But
Yes,
definitely,
they are. Yep.
I think she has the brains. I think she has the stature to run for president.
Oh, absolutely. I think she would make a formidable candidate.
Definitely. Well,
You
and
know,
I
I'm
again,
not so sure that our Biden should win. Or right, excuse me. I'm not so sure he should run.
well,
It was
I tell you, 2.5 years is a long time. Number one,
yeah.
depending on what the U.S. does. But what's frightening is even closer to home. It's what's happening in the midterms.
Yes, I just saw the latest poll from what is that 548,
Yeah.
and they said that the Democrats have a slight edge in the Senate, and the Republicans have a slight edge in the House in the latest
Well,
poll.
if they lose either one, there's really no legislation to come through.
Correct.
So I don't know what can be done in another 2 years to make Biden more a viable candidate. But just
I think
again, I'm a contemporary of Biden. We're approximately the same age, which I hate.
I think Malcolm, in 2 years, I don't think he'll have the energy and the stamina to run for president. Just watching him today,
Yeah, I want Bernie Sanders.
You and Bernie Sanders, it's a lost cause.
Yeah, I like Bernie. I like his policy again, but he's the same age. I think he's a little older.
I think he's older, yes.
Yeah. I can't see anyone that's 81, 82 years old being president of the United States. And sorry, they could be like a chief consultant and be involved in policy.
See, I think Bernie Sanders would be a great
Secretary of State.
Maybe not necessarily a Secretary of State, but I don't know what, just an advisor, somebody to have around to make suggestions. He has some really good ideas, but that's about as far as it goes for me.
How about AOC? She's a little too liberal.
No, not that he's too liberal. I think that
no, AOC, not that Bernie.
I would really like to see some young 45-year-old, 45-year-old run for president.
Yeah.
Some young person.
Yeah, I agree.
male or female.
And
See, I like Elizabeth Warren, but she too is she's too old. Come on,
well,
step
them
aside and let some kids run the show.
well, the thing is, I see when I speak to my kids, is both of my boys are 28 and 26 and 28. Actually, yeah, 26 and 28, and their ideas are new to me. I mean, they talk about certain things and they're aware of certain, whether it be culturally or politically, that I'm unaware of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They live in a different world than we do,
Right. And they should have an opportunity to put
and
those
rightly
ideas
so. Yeah,
forward.
and then we should give that. I mean, we've certainly at this point we screwed up things enough, especially with the planet. I told you I'm starting a new show called We the World, which is a group of people. It's called actually the group is We the World, and basically they're an international group that are connected to all these subgroups that are trying to fix the world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a massive task.
Yes. An enormous task. And we're just scratching the surface. And all the good that we accomplished in the last year was negated by that sabotage of that gas line over in Europe, and all the methane gas that was emitted just wiped out all the gains.
That Russian line that was
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
we're not doing anything. People are poo-pooing. They say, "Oh, this is all part of nature." Yeah, part of nature that the world might be destroyed.
Yes.
And I don't know why people are not seeing it. Okay, a lot of it is because it's not monetarily feasible, or not even feasible, but desirable. And everybody's talking about, of course, the gas prices, which are obscene. I don't know about you guys in New York, but in California, where they're just doing the refineries are retooling. I think the 5 major refineries that are retooling all at the same time, because we changed the complexion of the gas, the composition of the gas.
Did you add more ethanol or?
I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing, but in certain places there was over $8 a gallon.
Whoa.
And
our prices, Malcolm, were going down.
I know ours was going down until that time. But and then to boot, that the OPEC is reducing their production of oil 2 million barrels per day.
Yes. They're upset because the price of oil has gone from $120 a barrel to $80 a barrel.
Yeah, well, that was a big thing.
Significant loss of income.
The price of oil went down, but the price of gas went up. At least in Los Angeles, it was a weird, a weird combination. And I know the president had seen that the gas companies are making obscene profits, but of course the gas companies are denying it. But this is open record. They're making more profits than ever before.
Everybody's making more profit.
How come they're not? They're saying they're not gouging. I don't understand that one, but I'm not an economist. But that seems sort of straight up and down logic. You're charging more for gas. You're making more profits. You're gouging.
I think that all of the publicly traded companies that have to report profits have reported record profits, quarter after quarter, and they just keep raising prices because they can, because nobody's saying anything.
Well, we're saying it, but our voice doesn't count.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think it would be incumbent upon the president to just call in all the CEOs of all these oil companies and say, "Listen, guys and gals, this has got to stop. You got to figure out a different way.
Yeah.
You got to figure out, you can't just keep raising prices. I heard yesterday that that people are, foregoing all kinds of things that they used to do and I heard this from my dog groomer. Her business is really in the tank.
In the dog,
She
it goes
said,
to the dogs.
yeah, it's going to the dogs because people are, they have to save for heating oil.
Well, you have to cut back on something.
You know,
Anyway,
so-
on that encouraging word, we're out of time.
Oh, one last thing.
Okay.
I heard today that the Republicans are planning on using the decline in the 401ks because of the stock market. They're going to use that as one of their primary weapons in the latest push for the midterms.
Yeah, that I could see because a lot of the upper middle class and the middle class people, they're depending on that for retirement. The
Yeah,
401k.
but the Federal Reserve Bank is the one who's causing all this, and that's controlled by Republicans.
Right. Well, the only thing that I cannot say, well, thing that's obvious to me is how could you run Herschel Walker for governor?
Oh, no, Senator.
Senator, rather. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a mystery.
I mean, I would give him the football, with third down and 2-3 yards to go. I would definitely give him the football, even now. I mean, he would get it.
Even today.
But to run for senator?
I heard him last night, Malcolm, and I was just appalled.
The word is mortified.
I think his son presents a much better image than he does.
But anyway,
his son is more conservative than he is.
Well, I don't know. I don't even know if he knows what conservative is.
But, I'm sure he can't spell it.
Yeah, but I think the whole thing, the Republicans want him because they just want another body in the Senate to get a majority.
Yes, Trump endorsed him.
Right, and it doesn't matter, if he can think or he can't think.
Correct.
I think he's well, anyway, I don't want to say it because that sounds racist. But anyway, you have a great week. Take notes. Let me know what you want to talk about next week. I'm sure there would not be a dearth of information.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about next week, as we will all 52 weeks coming up.
Okay, kid. Send my love
All right.
to the family.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.